Hi, this is Keith Williams. Welcome to 5-Watt World, where we're interested in helping you get the most music from the least gear. As I've waded into this process of minimizing my music gear and wrestling with what to keep and what to let go of, I realized that it might be helpful to walk folks through my process of selling. I spent years on eBay. I was a little shocked to see that my feedback score was 833 positives. That's a lot of buying and selling. I've recently moved over to Reverb for selling my music gear. On my way to those positive feedback scores, I've settled into a successful process for selling my extra gear. If it's time to sell off some of your gear, then this video is for you. Up next. I'm going to be doing this on Reverb, but much of this would apply to eBay as well. There are lots of ways to do this. I'm not saying that this is the way. I'm just saying it's my way of doing it. First, make a list of the gear to sell. I like to use a spreadsheet. You could do this just as easily on a piece of paper with some columns on it. I do this because I find myself getting lost in which step I've done for each item, and it helps me stay organized, and in the end, it saves time. Next, go collect up all the boxes you may have saved when you bought the pedals. This is an important step because saving the original packaging and documentation is a valuable part of selling the gear. It shows that you're at least organized enough to hold on to things. This implies that you take good care of your stuff. Go back to the spreadsheet and add a column for whether there is a box and enter that information there. Next, I add columns for price, seller fee, shipping, and net price. We'll come back to these after we do our price research. I like to open a Reverb tab where I'll be doing the listings, another Reverb tab for looking up current price information, and a third tab for eBay price research. So now let's start looking up items on Reverb and eBay to look at current prices. Reverb uses fixed prices, so asking prices are generally a good place to start. But remember, the sales that are still up are the ones that haven't sold yet, so they may all be a little bit overpriced, and not the same price as the ones that sold this morning. eBay has a handy search feature that shows completed auctions and even includes where best offers were accepted, though it doesn't show you the final selling price for those. So this is a great place to see where someone wasn't able to get their original asking price. We repeat this step for each item on our list, collecting the prices for each item that we have to sell. Back to the spreadsheet and enter the prices. Once we have the prices, we can start calculating what it'll cost to sell the items on Reverb. The seller fee and payment processing fee is calculated at Reverb as you see on the page shown. In this price range, we can generalize to about 6% total, 3.5% for the seller fee and 2.5% for handling the payment. So let's put that on our spreadsheet as a formula. Again, you could just as easily do this on a piece of paper, but once you've set this up, you can use it the next time that you're going to do some selling. I use padded USPS flat rate envelopes for shipping pedals, so the cost will be $6.70 each, anywhere in the continental US. The only place that I ship at present. So let's add that to the spreadsheet as well. Finally, we'll add a formula that takes the selling price minus the Reverb fees and the shipping cost to get the net price. Now that I've entered all the prices and it's calculated the net price here. Now we're ready to start building ads. They make it easy to sell, as that's what they do after all. They only make money if you're making money. Fill in the brand and the model of the pedal. Choose the condition. Don't overstate this to try to get a better price. Always be honest about the condition of the item. If the item is in Reverb's database, information on past sales will pop up given the guidelines for the selling price and the condition that you listed. This may or may not line up with the prices you found for pedals currently listed. And as in all pricing, you should be pricing it based on how quickly you want to sell the item. I tend to use the old tried and true practice of listing just under the round number I want. So if I want to make $100 on a pedal, I'll list it for $99. Human nature sees that as more than $1 less. Before I sat down to start selling, I did a photo session of all my pedals, making sure to include the original box and documentation when I have them. You simply choose the pics and drag them into Reverb. Now you can add a YouTube clip of the pedal being demoed. So I search, pull up the list, and scroll down until I settle on the one I like. I often view them to decide, but in this case, I know that Andy Martin from Pro Guitar Shop and Reverb have done a great job. I bring up the video, copy the URL, go back to the listing and add it. Next, we're going to go shopping for a description we like. I used to spend a lot of time writing my own descriptions of items, only to realize that I'm a much faster editor than I am a writer when it comes to things like this. Someone else has already done a good job of pulling this together. By using eBay's completed item search, We can choose from a successful auctions to find language we like. So we click on the advanced search, enter the item, click completed listings, then search. A listing of completed auction comes up. The successful ones are in green, the others finished without selling. We read over the successful auction and decide what we want to use. Copy the text and bring it back over and paste it into the description box in Reverb. I then add a brief description of the condition of the specific item and a couple of sentences about my experience with it. In this case, I recognize that the pasted information is from the manufacturer, so I add that as well. Lastly, I add my general policy information. There's more complete information on my Reverb shop policy page. And I always thank people for looking. Last of all, we save and read over the listing to see if it is what we want it to be. It's all good, so we click Publish Listing, and we're ready to move on to creating the listing for the next item. Now that it's listed, we should be ready to ship as soon as it sells. Quick shipping is a sure way to get a positive feedback score. As I said earlier, I'm using these USPS padded out flat rate envelopes. You can get them free from USPS website, or directly from your local post office if they stock them. If I have the box, I just put it right into the envelope. I started doing this after a big retailer that was mailing me pedals did it this way, and when I asked them, they said they'd been doing it that way for years, without incident. If I don't have the box, I simply roll the pedal in some small bubble wrap and pop it into the envelope. And it's ready to go. Once it's sold in the mail, you go back to Reverb and post the tracking number. Once it's picked up at the post office for delivery, Reverb will release the money to you. If you have a preferred seller account, it can get created and go directly to your bank account. And that's it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to put them in the comments. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit that too. Remember, you can always check us out over at the blog at 5wattworld.com. Until next time, thanks for being a part of the 5 Watt World.